I know this is the time of year that we are getting close to children returning to school or starting a new term or perhaps moving up into high school. And although it can seem like it's a very exciting time for them and there's maybe a touch of excitement and anticipation, in my experience, there's always been a lot of anxiety and stress about returning to school and about the change of routine, maybe entering a new class, or certainly if they're going up to high school. And my experience has shown me that if you can teach them some meditation and mindful skills, it just helps that transition a little bit more. My name is Lorraine Murray, and I'm the founder of the Connected Kids program, which is a method of showing adults how to share meditation and mindful skills with young people. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I've 3 books published all about showing you how to teach children meditation. I've also been a foster carer for 10 years, and I've looked after 17 children from the age of 3 up until the age of 17. So what can we do for young people, especially for young children if they're very anxious about going to school? Well, one of the things you might notice is that they don't necessarily show stress in the way that adults show stress. It may be that their behavior becomes more reactive, perhaps they get tummy aches, or perhaps they just seem very restless. And so if we can recognize that that's an issue for them, and we can start to look beyond what we initially see as a problem or a challenge and think about ways that you can introduce some mindful skills to them, then you're going to help them move into that new experience with a little bit more ease and giving them some tools as well that will really help. On my blog on the website, teachchildrenmeditation.com, I've got a few more ideas, but I'll share one with you just now. And one of these is actually using the breath and using the imagination too at the same time. And this works very well if you've got very young children. So if you were to get them to stick their thumb up like this, and then get them to imagine that their thumb is a candle on, say, a birthday cake, and that they're going to blow out that candle. And they're going to imagine they're blowing out the candle on the birthday cake. They can have their eyes open or closed for this. So taking a breath in and then breathing out over the top of their thumb so they will feel that as well. Now, that doesn't particularly look like meditation, does it? But what you're asking them to do is to focus on their breath. And you're also asking them to focus on the out breath. And the research shows us that when we focus on our out breath from beginning to end, it activates the opposite of the fight, flight, or freeze, which may be what is bothering them when they think about going back to school. So doing that maybe 1, 2, 3 times and trying to take it slowly. Join in if you can, because younger children in particular learn by demonstration. And then we can swap between hands and see if it's different between one hand and the next. And each time they do that, they're just going to slow down and help their whole nervous system reset. So what can we do if we want to help the older age group, the ones that are quite skeptical and don't believe that you know anything that you can tell them that will help their lives get better? We know that our teens are very attached to their social media, to their mobile phones, their cell phones. So why not play to that strength and try and teach them how to notice their breath when they hear the ping or the buzz of a notification? So in other words, you're giving them a visual or an auditory signal that they can receive. And before they go straight in to check it, then perhaps just showing them how to take a nice long out breath or just to focus on their breath before they do that. If that's tricky and you find that there's still resistance because they don't believe this will work and make them feel better, you can actually show them that if they pay attention to how their body feels, when they get a notification, they might notice a little bit of tightness in the chest. Maybe they hold their breath, maybe their tummy gets sore or tight. So you can guide them to notice what happens when they actually receive that notification. A little bit of stress occurs for them. And so if they start to see that you're connecting the dots for them, it means that then when you show them how to just take a pause, take a breath before you dive into that message that's just come through, you're actually giving your body some respite. You're giving your mind some respite as well. And it doesn't mean you can't check your phone or your notifications. It just means you're not going to get all worked up throughout the day and perhaps react to a friend and hurt a relationship when you don't need to. When you use this kind of logic with them, this tends to persuade them. And as I said, I've got a few more ideas on my blog post on teachchildrenmeditation.com. So if you head over to that, you'll find a few more ideas there too. So for me, I teach a lot of adults worldwide how to share meditation and mindful skills with young people. I've been doing that for over 20 years. And what I've learned is that the adults who want to share these meditation skills and teach them are just as important in the equation as the young person who's learning to practice. So it's important that you model the behavior you want your young person to demonstrate. If you want them to practice meditation because you've read about it and heard it's really good, then you have to also practice meditation. This particularly applies to the older age group of children because they will think you're extremely hypocritical if you're trying to show them and you don't practice and you seem to be quite stressed. The younger children will really benefit from seeing you practice because often they want to model the behavior of the adults around them. So just by some of the things I've suggested or some of the other ideas in our blog post, you can try these and see how you improve your own well-being and also demonstrate to the young people the benefits of practicing some mindful skills. And then, of course, we have the situation for our professionals in education, because this is what this is about, returning back to school. And I know that when you're trying to look after a full class, that's quite, it takes a lot of skill and it can be quite challenging, particularly if there's a lot of stimulation through the attention span of the young people that are coming into class and they're having to settle into new routines. So on my blog post, I'll show you a very quick tip of what you can do to introduce something. I would say do it before a lesson starts or maybe at the start of the day, and you can incorporate it at other parts of the day if you have access to that class more than once. And just to give them very gentle ways of starting to notice the combination of the breath and the body. It doesn't need to take up a lot of time. And if you practice, it will benefit you too. And you might find you start to get a little bit creative with the idea that I suggested. But it's a really easy way to incorporate this into a busy classroom. So just head on over to teachchildrenmeditation.com to our main page, scroll down and you'll see the blog post all about tips and ideas for helping young people return to school when it can be quite a stressful situation, and some meditation suggestions that will help you minimize or reduce the anxiety and stress that they feel. Thank you so much for listening. My name has been Lorraine Murray at teachchildrenmeditation.com. And thank you so much. I really wish you all the best in your practice. Namaste.